Yeah. He lied to us and pretty much cost me way too many nights of sleep.
Yeah.
So, and thankfully we got Karen to keep us out of jail.
Okay, let's call the park board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Barry,
Still here.
Brad,
Here.
Steve, Corey,
Here.
Bo,
Here.
Chris,
Here.
Shanda. Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. We'll proceed. Item B, approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion when you're ready.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve the minutes.
Okay. Is there
Brad will second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the park board minutes from January 21st. Is there any changes or discussion? Discussion, roll call vote, please.
Brad,
Yay.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Shanda,
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Item C, financials.
Financials reports included in your packet. I'm not sure if you got a chance to look at it, but the finance department has created a new form, and I think it's fantastic. Really easy to understand. Really appreciate the new paperwork they're putting out for our finances. I think it's really straightforward and really easy to understand. And if you guys have any questions, I'll certainly comment on any of them.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve the financial report as presented.
Okay, second.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve financials. Any discussion? Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Shanda,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Discussion items?
Yep, okay. First thing up there is Playground Safety Inspector course. The Playground Safety Inspector course is a program that they run in North Dakota in Bismarck every year. If you get inspected, if you get certified, it's a 3-year certification. I've been certified for quite a while, pushing 20 years now. This year we're going to have Carter go along with, because he's at the playgrounds more than I am. So, but the class actually starts Tuesday morning of a month from now at our park board meeting. So I've spoken to Lindsay, and that's the one thing I wanted to mention. She's going to run the park board meeting. I'll still jump in online, and be here if any questions asked. But Carter and I will be both in Bismarck that day, and it actually starts Tuesday, in-class sessions Tuesday, Wednesday, and then take a test on Thursday. So.
I just have to say this out loud. Way back, I was a certified playground instructor. It's a great class. So I'm glad to see that we're going to have a couple of different people certified. It's pretty neat.
It is it's one of those things like you never look at playgrounds again once you go through it. It opens your eyes to all the things that do happen to kids and that are out there playing on them and the dangers that can happen. So it's a really great course, especially your first time. Like I said, you never look at playgrounds the same. So, but the other part of that is that Lindsay will run the park board meeting, and I'll just jump in online to be able to answer questions next month. Moving on, we got the ice fishing derby this weekend. Really excited that the weather looks like it's going to change. I'll tell you what, last year it was a little cold out there, but we've been really lucky every year we've done this. We've had good weather, and this year it looks hopefully going to be more of the same. Can't give enough credit to the United Sportsmen of Williston. Their crew just does an awesome job, both in the lead up and day of. Overall, so it's an event that's put on by us and the Sportsmen and the Blacktail Dam Association. But I give all the credit to the United Sportsmen. They just do a great job. We have some other sponsors: Enbridge, the Scenic Sports, Shields of Minot, Nova Oilfield Services, Grundall Recreation, and OK Distributing. From those sponsors, we're going to Starting with, we have 175 kits where the first 175 kids that come, they'll get a bucket with minnows, ice fishing pole, some jigs, and a T-shirt, all to keep. We'll also provide, we'll have food, lunch, hot dogs and chips and water and snacks for over 200. So, you know, a couple weeks ago, I was worried we'd have 50 with the cold. Now think we're a good chance we're going to get a really good showing. I hope so. So we're excited about this event. It's gone well in the past, and with this nice weather, maybe a really good opportunity for people to get out and get going again in our North Dakota winters. So really grateful for all the sponsors and excited for that to go. Going to be a good event.
Do you advertise as like on the 660 or,
Yep.
I mean, things like?
Yeah, well, you know, Lindsay puts it out, or Lindsay and Gabby put out a press release. I was on that KX's day show, that 701, that show they do in the afternoon. I was on there, and then we pumped it out through our social media, the video of that. I'm going in to be on Keys tomorrow morning for the county's normal spot on Wednesdays. So I'm doing that tomorrow with the idea of pushing this event as well. So I think we're, social media wise, we're getting it out there, and Gabby and Lindsay have done a good job using our press release. Right away when they set the first press release out, probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I suppose, we got a lot of replies from them, the media immediately asking more information. And so pretty excited, think we're gonna have a good event. Next up, paddle fishing. Lindsay and I and we talked about this last year at the end of paddle fishing, have kind of taken it upon ourselves to help out. Lindsay had organized one meeting, has another that we've already had, and has another one coming up, trying to bring a group of people together, including the CVB, the Sheriff's Department, Game and Fish, you know, us at the county, the water board, and just trying to figure it out. In the past, what's really happened is why am I drawing a blank? The people that collect the North Star Caviar, thank you. They've kind of been the de facto people in charge because Game and Fish is doing their thing, and so they're kind of the ones that are visible. So everyone comes to them and expects them to be the one in charge, and they've kind of done that. But it's a little bit, it's crazy. It gets bigger every year. I mean, it gets bigger every year. So we've kind of jumped on to decide to help. I think my biggest role is going to be day of. I'm in charge of parking and making sure people are in the right areas, because that right where the boat ramp is, that no matter what gets overrun with people trying to camp in the wrong areas. So that's kind of going to be my role in that. Just want to give you a heads up that I will be participating, helping out, trying to make that event better. Excited to be there too. I mean, I've gone paddle fishing a couple times, and I mean, it's a neat place to be out there. So, so I'll just be helping out with that weekend. Otherwise, if you have no questions, that's all I have for discussion items.
Okay, any questions there? All right, master plan, update, schedule?
All right, we'll talk. I just want to kind of run through our schedule a little bit. I know we've talked about it and where we're at. Overall, Lookout Park and Coda Ray will get finished here this spring. Lookout Park is really close as it is. We got to connect water, put up this screen for the pickleball court. That's about it. I mean, we're close. Just get a little nice weather, that'll be done. Coda Ray Dam is a little bit behind where we'd like to be, but at the same time, not being able to get it done where we want. Can't have some kind of crazy long spring. Otherwise, feel good about getting that open, ready to go for Memorial Day weekend. Like I said, still have some things to do out there, and it'll be a little hectic getting it done, but feel confident, from everyone I've talked to, that we're going to get there and get it done and opened and ready to go for Memorial Day. The rest of them are more design. So Blacktail Dam, we're close to finishing design, getting to where we're going to start talking about schedule. Why I brought it up on the agenda today, and then and start construction this year. The rest of the schedule, hoping that I've given directive to the architect and to everyone involved that I'd really like to get everything designed out, and want to keep moving forward. So I've kind of set this year, December 15th or December 1st to have the design done for McGregor and Epping Springbrook Dam. And then that March 1st of 26 to have the design done for Little Egypt. The reason why I picked those dates is kind of with the idea of December 1st, then we could start bidding out Epping Springbrook Dam and McGregor next year. If we choose to, maybe McGregor gets pushed back one more year, just depends on the workload. And then Little Egypt, the plan would be to, like I said, have it done by March 1st or March 15th. Because then we submit our annual management plan to the Army Corps of Engineers on March 31st. So, or prior to March 31st. So that would give us a time to get that in, get that submitted for 26, and then begin construction in 27. And I have been talking with Game and Fish. I met with the Army Corps of Engineers. I've met with our local guys. I've met with the people at Riverdale, just constantly keeping them updated with where we're at and what we're doing, and making sure they know that, hey, when this comes, keeping everything in front of them so that they're not surprised by anything. There aren't any, as soon as we submit it, they say, oh no, there's no way you're doing that. So even before we submit it, make sure everything's kind of gonna work. So that's kind of design schedule and implementation schedule. And more specifically about Blacktail. I kind of touched on the rest of them. As we've been going along, I've asked, hey, like, what does our schedule look like? How are we going to build this? What's going to happen when? And they haven't finished making the schedule. They're working through it right now. And that's why it's important time for us. That's why it's good for us to talk about it now. Obviously, the most efficient, money-wise, time-wise way to do it would be to shut the whole thing down. Shut it down and build it up and go through it as fast as we can. I know that takes a lot of things offline, and a lot of people's plans to change. And I'm good with whatever. But that's the most efficient way, both time and money, would be to shut it down. I don't know if that's the best idea. That's why I'm here to talk to you guys.
Mr. Ludlam, I think, shutting it down may be prudent. Just, I mean, it's a season, but obviously communicating with the public, communicate. This is the plan so that they're not angry and upset and didn't know this would happen.
I agree with
Well,
that. Also,
Go ahead,
the
Brad.
boat ramp. Yeah, also the boat ramp. What is the question mark? Is that going to be shut down along with the camping, or are we going to have a way to work with that boat ramp?
Well, I think we need to come up with a way to work with the boat ramp. We've talked about a lot of different scenarios. I think the easiest way to keep the boat ramp open would be to figure out some path of least resistance trail to the current boat ramp. An easy one that we have planned that we know people can get to, that's gonna go through a construction zone, but still be there and accessible. And then work on the new boat landing and get that open as fast as we can. The new boat landing's going south, closer to the entrance of the park. So you would think that feasibly that could be something that hopefully maybe could be prioritized to get done faster, get that open, figure out a way to block it off from the rest of the construction we got going on, and then close the other one. Now, it's really easy for me to say that, and maybe a little bit harder for them to design that and implement that. But like I said, these are, I just can't imagine, like, in my head, I sit and think about this, and I go through it, and I talk to people, and in my head, I guess I could see where if we did communicate, and there'd be some people upset that we did close down the campground, and we got through, and some people were mad, and we got through with it being closed for a season. And then but I can't see that same thing with the boat landing. we've talked about a lot of different scenarios, like, hey, could we, like, my initial thought was, hey, can we just say we're gonna leave the boat landing open until June 5th? And then we're gonna say, hey, we're gonna close it, but if there's emergency access or something, have an emergency access plan for either the sheriff department or Game and Fish. Have a plan where if somebody else needed to get a boat on or off, we could figure something out.
Yeah.
And I went through my head with that, but then even that, like, even if we, you know, and then even if we close camping, you know, like I said, we have 60 campers that'll be out there on busy weekends. But even if Brad or other residents at Blacktail have their campground or have their boat in, a lot of those people out there have people come and stay at their site and bring their campers out there. I've mentioned before that on holiday weekends, I've counted as many as 130 or 140 campers on private lots. And some of those stay there for most of the summer, but a lot of those come and go. And those people have boats too,
Yeah.
and now they can't get theirs on. And
Well, yeah, you have and you even have cabin owners who put boats on and take boats off, and it would be some decision making and communication would be pertinent. But also you have additional camping. Are you going to leave that additional camping on the northwest side open?
oh, just the primitive camping west of the golf course?
Yeah.
That I don't think we'd touch anything with that this year. You know, and the other thing we've talked about, you know, if the goal was to keep some, you know, to move away from the boat landing. If the goal was to keep some camping open, is it enough or does it make sense to just leave the beach area open? Because it is kind of a whole different section.
Right.
Right? I mean, just leave it open and do that next year, once we can get some more, maybe get something else open in the main campground. And if we feel like that's not enough, then I think that we really start cutting into the main, because everything else is kind of in the same area. And we really start cutting into that main campground where it is now. And now it's going to get really chunked out. Going to have to make a lot more decisions and a different plan, which I'm fine with too. I get the idea. I have a lot of friends and a lot of family of friends, and that Blacktail is what they do in the summer. And they'll be upset when they say, oh, we're going to be completely closed.
I think with the size of Blacktail, Jeremy, I think we need to find a way to at least maybe keep it open over by the swimming area, because when will that get touched? I guess that's my question. We're not going to mobilize in and strip everything at one time. It's going to be sections, and that's where I agree with letting everybody know. But when something's sitting there for a month or 6 weeks and hasn't been touched, that's where we're going to get a bunch of questions. So I think if we can find a way, I mean, obviously the boat landing, but to keep a little bit of it open, and I know that's probably causing a problem, but I really think it's important because, like I say, we're not going to get it all done at one time.
Well, and as I've thought about, like I said, the big thing we're doing over in that swimming area, I mean, we're making it, we're doing a lot, right? Like we still plan on putting water at all the sites, but in my mind, the biggest thing is, right, putting in a bathroom with running water. That's the biggest thing we're doing there. Which I still would hope to do. But I also, like I said, it really narrows down. I mean, if we wanted to just cut that out and say, let's do that next year, that beach area, it doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't make as big of a deal as the rest. I do understand that maybe, timing wise, I mean, once you get it all stripped down, you have one person that goes through and does the plumbing and the electrical and that, and maybe you do save some because those people already mobilized out. But I just look at how big that main campground area is and how much that will be compared to how small that beach area is. And I think that's a reasonable compromise to try to keep something open. I guess I don't know, and is that enough?
Well, doesn't it all make sense like in some of our other park board property? And I understand that it would be across from private areas, but is there places that we could build temporary, I mean, when I say build, like paint temporary primitive campsites. And I mean, it might open up areas that people can park and camp, but they have to be either be on a generator, solar, whatever, for a year or the time being.
I mean, I honestly hadn't thought about that. I think it's definitely worth looking into. I would say the only hiccup could potentially be the health department, and what they would allow. Right? Because I think part of it is, I don't know. But I also think that right now we have 60 RV sites, and if we said, hey, we're going to cut back to, we're going to keep the ones we have at the beach. We're going to keep our primitive sites down there, and we're going to add, another dozen primitive sites or something.
You can put it up by the dump.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, for sure. We got places we could put it. If the board feels like that's a viable solution to keep that swimming area open and to look into creating some new primitive sites or creating some new sites temporary for this season only, that's a direction I can get behind and move forward and try to make happen.
I think if we can keep it partially usable, anything's gonna help.
Okay.
I'm just thinking like my trailer is self-contained, like I'm gonna come with water and a generator, and if I got a place to back in the grass, my
Right.
kids are happy.
Yeah, and I'm with you too. As long as people know ahead of time and can plan for it, it is what it is.
Well, and Jeremy, as far as primitive goes, if you have the generators running and you're up there out of the way up at the far west end of that, what we call the dump area, there's that whole L-shaped tree row that would be ideal to put camping sites up against, that there's no storage. So about midway up that area to the west, about halfway up that tree row to the west, it's all empty.
Yep.
And it's fairly flat, and you could have the actual entrance to that from the road going north-south on the west side there. There is an entrance, it's blocked off.
Right. Yep. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you.
So-
That'd be pretty easy to just
mow out
some
areas
spots.
and
Yep.
number. Yeah.
I'd bet that, if we closed it down so they could just work without having to work around, I bet, from start to finish, you'd probably shave a month off the construction time. There's just for efficiency wise, so. And then you mentioned for the sheriff for emergency issues or whatnot, could they not use that boat ramp on the northeast side for, an emergency thing?
Well, I did talk to Ben White quickly last week and asked him, and he said really for the Sherp, he can land anywhere. He doesn't need a boat landing. He can go anywhere. It's just easier with the boat landing, obviously. So for him, it's not as much of an issue. And for Game and Fish, that's not really an issue for them either, because they could use that because it's Game and Fish and Parks land. So Game and Fish could use that as well. So for emergency, I think we'd be okay. I still, and that, like I said, that was my initial thought. I still think that we just always, have to find a way to keep a boat landing open. I try in my head to convince myself otherwise, because I know like our current boat landing it goes right through the middle of everything we want to do. So I try in my head to say, oh no, it'll be okay, we can do this. But then I just think about, like I said, about someone that lives out at Blacktail, and then, yeah, they put their boat in, but I want to take my boat to the Big Lake this weekend. And then I want to put
Yeah.
back in here. And even them, I'm more scared of fighting a battle with Game and Fish. Technically, it's Game and Fish's boat landing. They installed it. It's ours, it's on our land, but they installed it. We have a working agreement with them on that boat landing. And I think I've already got a little bit, and I haven't even pushed too hard with them. There's gonna be a lot of pushback from Game and Fish if we don't have one that's available.
Mr. Ludlam, are you tasked with figuring out all of this on your own, just being the freshman to the board here? Is this something for us to figure out here, or do you have somebody in office with you that you guys can kind of come together with a plan? And my second thing is, why does anybody camp anyway? Just build a 4-star hotel out there.
Yeah, you know what, our team is small, but, here it's mostly Lindsay and I, but I bounce all my ideas off her, and I think we work as a good team. But we're also not afraid to ask everyone else around. So, as far as tasks with it, I think for the most part, the way that me and this board has operated is that I try to get a really good feeling for what you guys want, and then go in that direction, and then check in to make sure I'm going the right direction. I think so far I've stayed within those boundaries. And that's kind of the direction I would like to continue going here. Up until this point, that's why I did bring it up, and I sent that email out specifically saying, hey, this is here, because I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to think about it before our meeting, and then for us to discuss it here to get a feeling where it's at.
It sounds like you're asking the engineers and the design people to say, hey, boat launch is the priority. Can we possibly build the new boat launch first, get it open, lock everything else down, and then you'll talk about leaving the beach open and looking for other primitive site options. Is that?
That's correct. Yep. And I've already started to have those discussions with them, because initially that they asked me, and what's the plan? I said, well, we want to do it right, do the best we can. It's like, well, the fastest way and the best way is shut everything down. And then we were going down that path, and just more and more I knew that this needed to be something that this needed to be heard here in this forum. And we needed to make sure everyone was on the same page. But yes, Ryan Anderson from J.E. Dunn's here. He came and visited. He's our point of contact. He's the go-to guy for this project for us. And he said he'd stop by just in case there were any questions. But I did discuss everything you kind of just said, Bo. Ryan and I talked about that yesterday, and kind of figuring, can we implement this? What can we do? What would make sense?
Obviously, online reservation system, you can tell them we all these sites down for reservations, so that, okay.
Yep, and we can add new ones.
Yeah.
We can add new ones, and we can, we started working on a press release, Lindsay and I, to be sent out soon, because typically we've done our online reservations where they open March 1st, and so we're right around the corner there. So we had kind of working on that, but we knew we wanted to wait till after this meeting. And the way it's written now is that Little Egypt and Epping Springbrook will open up on March 1st. McGregor will continue to be first come, first serve, as it has been with pay on site. And then Blacktail Dam and Coda Ray, just more information to come with, we don't want to open up, if in case something were to go wrong at Coda Ray, we don't want to open that up and all of a sudden we open a week where 3 sites don't work because electrical problems, or we want to make sure everything's running before we open that up. And then Blacktail Dam, we weren't sure where we're at yet with that. But yes, we have the ability to make all the changes. Our website's our reservation system's really user-friendly.
It's been my experience that in situations like this, people will put up with some heartburn, like your construction process. They'll put up with the heartburn if they can see the bigger picture and know there's a reason for it, and then they have a definitive end date for it. They'll put up with the heartburn.
Any other master plan questions? Okay, parks update, road maintenance and water quality sampling.
Okay, 2 things real quick. With going through road maintenance this year at Blacktail Dam, a couple ideas have come up. Working a lot with the Blacktail Dam Association and talking to Don Egge. It'd be nice if there was we had a little bit ability to do some quick fixes rather than always having to wait for County Highway to come out. County Highway does great. I'm not going to say one bad thing ever. They have been great friends of ours, great partners. They get out there and they get it done. But we wondered sometimes, would it make sense if we could have a little different equipment to do some quick fixes? Currently, we have a 1990 F800 dump truck, plow truck that I don't know if it's ran since I've gotten there. It was the associations. It is the associations. We lease it. They lease it to us and we insure it. It never runs. We also have a really, really nice payloader, Again, same thing. It's the associations, they lease it to us. Really nice payloader, and it's got a crazy awesome snow blower attachment to it that's only been used once, and it was only used for testing, and it's awesome. But we never use it. So the association, Don, has contemplated, and he's gonna go talk to his people, maybe looking at getting rid of that dump truck and getting rid of that blower and looking at buying in its place a blade for that payloader. And then the other thing that I came up with, maybe on our side that we'd look at and if you guys thought would make sense, is getting a spreader for the back of a pickup truck. Just so we could hit those bad spots on top of the hills. We could put some sand down. Carter could run out and fill it full, have every fall, order a load of sand and have it out there, and Carter could load it up, and or even some of the volunteers out at Blacktail that we have, could load up take the Bobcat, throw some sand in that spreader, and drive around in a truck and drop some at the top of the hills or the bottom of the hills or the bad spots. Like I said, County Highway gets out there, but they got a lot of miles to cover, and sometimes they get out there a couple days later, which is awesome because I know how much they have to cover, but I just think this would be maybe a little fix that it's something we could do. So if that makes sense, and you guys think so, I'd look forward, and obviously we're getting near the end of the year this year, but something more geared towards next year to just have that system in place that we could do that.
In the fall, like when you said you just get a load of sand, I'm assuming you call Dennis, right? Yeah, I was gonna say, don't be going buying it somewhere else.
No. Yeah, no. Any of those materials or anything like that, I go through Dennis first.
Appreciate your forward thinking on this stuff, Jeremy. Thank you.
Jeremy, I think it sounds good. Number one, why don't probably talk to Keith? We have a plow.
Oh.
Because there's no point in putting a spreader in the back of one of those pickups without having a plow on it.
Okay.
And I don't believe they're using it at this point because we bought the new loader for doing all of the stuff in town. So that may be an extra plow that could be switched to a pickup or whatever. But I think that's why we bought the loader, was to get rid of that. Now you'd have to ask him. He may be using it for something else, but possibly do that with a spreader, I think is a great idea.
And as far as putting a blade on that on that loader that you have, you can get a wing on that also.
Oh, yeah.
That turns it into quite a machine, but stay away from the edge of the road.
Yeah.
You get a little too close and you want to steer away, the back end goes towards it.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Yep. But yeah, so I just think like I said, I think there's little things we can do to make it better and make it just more efficient. And then the other thing on there, water quality sampling, just give you an update. I went to the Soil Conservation District's board meeting last month. They did hire their watershed manager last year, Isabella. She has moved on to, I think she moved to Maine, and now they've hired a new person. His name is Colin. I went up to the board meeting, to listen in, but also mostly to meet Colin. Molly, the director over there, has agreed that Colin will continue to help us out with doing the lake sampling at Epping Springbrook Dam, and then he'll continue doing all the stuff he does at Blacktail Dam. So I just went over, met with him, made sure we're on the same page with that. I'm going to be a little bit new because he's never done this lake sampling stuff and everything, so he's kind of fresh and new. But people from the state, we're scheduling dates for them to come up and go through a training and get everything going. So we'll, I guess, both at Epping and at Blacktail, continue to do the water sampling and continue to move forward. Otherwise, I think that's all I got.
Any questions? Brad, got anything?
Nope.
Okay. Item H is next meeting, March 18th. If nobody else has anything, we'll consider ourselves adjourned at 9:52.
All right, thanks, guys.